And welcome to a bonus round episode of Game Rivals. I am your host, Maximilian X, and with me, as always, is the lovely, the exclusive, the PlayStation man himself, Sean Templar. How's it going, Sean?
I can only say that it is a good day to be a PlayStation fan.
Oh my god.
And
Wow,
I
you're
say
gonna
this
start off
with
the
the
back with this one.
biggest smile
Okay.
on my face. It is an amazing day to be a PlayStation fan.
Okay. Wow. Not even the courteous thing of
I am coming out
going.
guns blazing on this matter. No mercy, no, take no prisoners.
Oh my god. Oh, this is gonna be a long one. All right, okay. Um, so let's just dive into it. This is a bonus round episode. We will get you a regular episode on the regular time. Don't worry about that. We're also planning a spoiler cast for The Last of Us Part Two. I'm working on that. So as soon as that's ready, we'll be putting that one out as well. But let's get into the Xbox Games Showcase. Which I'm gonna be honest here. Like just from right from the get-go, just as you has been honest, I'm gonna be honest too. I went with expect I didn't go in with any kind of expectations. Not high expectations, not low expectations, and I came out exactly the same way I was feeling before the whole event started.
um, I had expectations, and the reason that I had expectations is
Well, that's
because
your own fault.
yeah, but like the reason I had expectations was because like the whole year until the PlayStation event last month
Hmm.
or 2 months ago,
No,
Microsoft
that was
was
last time.
it was it last month, yeah. It was last month. Until the PlayStation event Sony did last month,
Hmm.
Microsoft had, let's call it, home turf advantage. They ticked all the boxes. Everything was smooth. Everybody was talking about them, and they did they invited people over to the headquarters, showed the box, showed the insides, they showed some features. Then they had the inside Xbox. Okay, that didn't go as well, but still, it was hype building. People are going crazy. Same goes about this Xbox Series S stuff rumor floating around.
Hmm.
And then the PlayStation event happened, and that was like a definitive moment for Sony in which they kind of got the advantage back, and everybody was like, "Okay, all eyes are on Microsoft. They need to nail this because otherwise they have a huge problem." And I think everybody going into this event thought this is gonna be the event in which they kind of make true on that promise because they said, "Hey, we messed up with Inside Xbox. We want to make good on this one. It's going to be all about the games." They set clear expectations on what to see, and then everybody knew Halo Infinite was going to be there. I mean, I'm happy they showed it, but
They kept not stop talking about the fact that they were going to show Halo Infinite.
yeah, and like as a whole, it fell short of expectation. It didn't get to that level in which people said like, "Oh wow, okay, they beat Sony." I mean, like from a presentation standpoint and all that stuff, Microsoft's always slick. But for example, they showed Halo Infinite to open the show. I think it's a great. Looks like a great game. Um, I think they announced it a couple of years ago that this will be a open world Halo, and you kind of saw it in which that you had freedom to explore the objectives and do what you want. I think it's a little bit getting used to it because Halo never really was open world. It gave you some freedom, but in a limited way. And now it looks like it's all hands are off, and you can do whatever you want. Um, to be honest, from a visual standpoint, I did expect more because they said like the game has been built from the ground up for Xbox Series X. It's been in development for a couple of years, but I think
It's been in development for a really long time because when it
yeah,
got announced, people assumed that it was coming to Xbox One.
yeah. So, and I think that's maybe we as gamers have to adjust what we expect from next gen. I think going into next gen, the focus will not be on photorealism, but more on details, so that we will get, let's just say, like PS4 and Xbox One caliber graphic wise games at this point in the generation, because we're at this point that games look beautiful, but that
Mhm.
where the games look beautiful but it's not rich on details, that it will be those kind of games plus a gazillion details in there, like small reflections on scopes, or I don't know, small scratches on the bodies of a gun that just really look high quality. So I think that going into next gen, that's something we have to expect at least the first 2 years, maybe, that it's just going to be a beautiful game with a lot of detail in it, but not a photorealistic game as what you would expect. Because every generational leap, you're like, oh, this is going to be the moment we get to that photorealism. And I think because that's the general thing I've been seeing from both sides, from both Sony and Microsoft.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Even Forza Motorsport, because they announced a new Forza, even
Mm.
there, I thought this does not look photorealistic.
I got some things to talk about that one, but let's just like, because the thing that it like this is in general for me right now. So the general vibe that I got, at least for some games, is that they look, especially the ones that are like vibrant, the ones that have vibrant color palette,
The rare game?
look. No, no, not just the
Oh,
rare game, but any game that, like Psychonauts 2, even Halo Infinite to a certain point, the colors popped, which is something that I wasn't expecting, which was a nice surprise to see. It was nice to see that at least when it comes to games that will have more vibrant expressions of color to showcase their environments, it's gonna look really pretty. The other thing that I also noticed for all the games, I don't think I saw any trailer that did not run at 60 frames per second. Everything was running at 60 frames per second and was smooth, which is really nice to see. Halo Infinite looked like a Halo game,
yeah.
maybe with more open, a way grander scale of feeling open world. But outside of that, I didn't see anything new. I didn't see new mechanics. I didn't see weird stuff. There were weird rumors floating around leading up to this event. For I'm pretty sure that was just 4chan trolls that were trolling. Like, for example, Master Chief would have a sprint button, which, yeah, that's normal. It's a first person shooter. But also that he has a jetpack, which
And he has a
did not
grappling
show
hook
this.
now, kind of
He
like
has
a
a grappling
Batman.
hook, which I also did not see. So
I
what
think
is he?
it's like I think Halo traditionally has been a lot of standard FPS things, and now the
Oh,
things we're seeing
it's
now.
standard FPS to its core.
Yeah, and so I think now what we're seeing is like a modern version of Halo. So Halo being pulled into a bit of a modern age, because in a lot of games you have these quirks, these extra
What
bits
part
of,
of this, what you just saw today,
yeah.
looked modern
No, I mean
outside of
like
the graphics?
I mean like the from a gameplay point of view, like
Yeah, exactly. That's
that
what
your
I'm at.
that your character is not grounded in that he can just run and sprint and shoot, but there is some verticality to it that he can, I don't know, use a grappling hook to get to areas, to traverse, to stuff. I think like
But he didn't have a grappling hook, did he?
he did, because he shot a grappling hook with his left arm and he went onto an enemy, and then there was this part that he was running towards a bridge and he shot a grappling hook and he went up there.
Wow, I missed that.
That's okay, but
I
I
literally
think
missed
like that. I think like they're adding stuff into the game now to bring it kind of into 2020,
that.
because Halo has always been, you know, you can do the jump and you can do the shield, but it was really limited. So I think now that they're really making it a modern shooter out of it.
Shall I blow your mind?
Please do.
Metroid Prime 3 Corruption had grappling hooks before Master Chief did. Samus Aran was whipping that stuff around for way long. Actually, no, I'm even wrong. Hey, Metroid Prime 1 actually had the grappling hooks to begin with. So yeah, welcome to 2000 what? 3? 2000, yeah, 2002 even. Master Chief, it took you long enough.
I know.
So, yeah, wow, I really must have missed that part, part of
There
the
was a couple of
trailer
times in
for
there
some
because he did it to traverse, and he also did it to hook onto an enemy and close in on that enemy and shoot him or slap him.
Wow, I need to watch that trailer again. Um, it was a bit busy, that trailer.
Yeah, I
That
mean,
dude,
it was a
that
lot.
dude was. That dude in the beginning was talking so fast I could barely understand what he was saying to Chief.
Yeah, I think I don't. That was maybe a funny element that the guy was a bit paranoid in there. The guy that
I
saves you, and
Yes.
or he's annoyed by the Master Chief. And the only thing the issues with I had with the trailer was that they showed I think they wanted to show a lot in a short
Mm,
time. So I kind of got overwhelmed with what was going on because I thought like, you know what, if you just show me something simple, I'll be fine. But it was like, okay, we have a limited amount of time and we need to blow everybody away with all the stuff we crammed into the game. So let's do a grappling hook here and a grenade there and a this there and a that there and a gun here and a blah blah blah. And I'm like, wow, I'm gonna get an epileptic seizure if this keeps on going.
Uh,
But I think it will probably be a great game. I think it's one of the reasons why people will want to buy an Xbox on launch day. And the beauty of it is, and that is something I have to commend Microsoft on because that's basically a clear strategy they're doing. Is almost everything will come to Game Pass, and
mm,
almost everything Microsoft itself makes will come to PC and on
and
Xbox
Game
One.
Pass,
Yeah,
and it's all day one.
and it's all day one. I mean, I, for example, thought when I saw it all, I thought like, hey, this is coming to Game Pass, it's coming to PC. Fine, I can play this. I don't have to buy an Xbox. And I admire them taking that
Even in more
step.
ways than one, by the way.
Yeah, but I have to commend them for offering up that flexibility by saying we want everybody to enjoy our games in the way that they can. If you want to do that on PC, that's fine. If you want to do it on Xbox One, that's fine. I mean, I like that because for one brief moment, I thought, should I buy an Xbox Series X for this? I was like, no, it's coming to PC. Why should I?
I think, because I don't think I would have. I don't think I'm gonna have the funds to get an X. I don't know how much it's gonna cost, but I don't think I'm gonna have the funds this holiday season to buy it anyways. I think what I'm gonna do instead is just pay the $15 and get
Game Pass Ultimate.
yes, because that covers something else that they covered in this
Yep.
xCloud.
xCloud. Yeah.
Because Destiny 2 is coming to xCloud when
And
that launches.
yep. And Game Pass.
And Game Pass and with all the DLC,
Yep.
which is amazing. That's like that's a ridiculous deal.
Did you ever play Destiny?
I've played I've played it. I've played the what do you call it again? The when
Trial?
it's like not the trial. I no, I think not the trial. What's the word I'm looking for?
Free to play
The bare
weekend?
bones, yeah, the bare bones version
Ah, okay.
on PlayStation.
I mean, to be honest,
Just a little bit, like maybe an hour.
I played Destiny 1 with a couple of expansions, and then I bought 2, and after the first month, I stopped playing it. But Destiny 2 was a better game than 1. Um,
Mm,
and Bungie has been really clear on this by saying, we're not doing Destiny 3. We will be continuing on with Destiny 2 for the foreseeable future. I mean, they showed a roadmap, and we talked about this in an earlier episode. It's nice that they're committing to 4K 60
yes.
on PlayStation and on Xbox. So that's really good.
Yep.
And I
That's
mean, to
good.
be honest, I think Sony, and I hope honestly that Sony is conjuring up something with PlayStation Now, and going to follow a Game Pass model because I mean we're getting to this point that is something I honestly say that adds value. Like smart
Yeah.
delivery, my stance on smart delivery, but Game Pass genuinely adds value. And I mean, if you look at
Oh,
Sony's strategy,
100%, 100%.
yeah, I mean, if you look at Sony's strategy, they are bringing out Death Stranding came out last week on PC, and Horizon Zero Dawn is coming out on PC next month. So like they are diversifying. So why not take the leap and say, you know what, we're going to give you PlayStation Now, and it's going to include all the PlayStation 4 exclusives that we have, and it's going to include them day one, because that way, I mean, even if people pay the 10 or the $15 for that for one time, it's still money that you're getting.
I would add I would add that to PlayStation Plus.
Even better.
The way they're going to add xCloud to Game Pass Ultimate, they should do that for PlayStation Plus. Either make it a separate tier, to have it cost $10 more, so
Yeah.
instead of $50 it's $60 a year, or 60 it's $70 a year. That's amazing. If you could
Yeah,
do that, have all the first party PlayStation games be on there day and date, um, giving them the ability to stream it, give them the ability to download it if they
yeah,
don't have a good network connection,
yeah.
you're done.
That's it.
You're you're
Yeah,
done.
because then you're
Then
you're leveling the playing field. Now, Game Pass is literally a big advantage. I mean, I have Game Pass on PC. I've played State of Decay 2, which I like. I've played. I wanted initially I wanted to play Astroneer, but when I wanted to, it wasn't there, so I had to buy Astroneer. But now Astroneer is on Game Pass. A friend of mine said the other day, like, "Hey, do you want to play all the Halos before Halo Infinite comes out in November?" I'm like,
mm,
yeah, why not? I mean, it's available on PC. I've done it a couple of years ago on Xbox 360. Let's do it again because there's basically nothing coming out in the next few months. So I have the time. I started playing Gears of War 4 a while back, Gears Tactics. I mean, that's all for $4 I pay a month for Game Pass, and that's tremendous value for me.
absolutely. Speaking of State of Decay 2, they showed a cinematic trailer for State of Decay 3.
Yeah, I was happy to see that one. I mean, I started playing two maybe 2 weeks ago, and it's really
Mhm.
nice. It's an open world zombie game. It's pretty overwhelming in the beginning because you have so much options in it, which makes it really fun. And we were in a chat with another friend of ours with Gizmo, and you called State of Decay 3, and I'm like, oh, okay, that'd be nice. And it turned out to be State of Decay 3. Yeah,
It was pretty obvious because it couldn't have been anything else. As soon as I saw the survivalist of okay, this is probably State of Decay 3 because it just had that vibe.
yeah,
But I will say this: that trailer immediately confirmed the rest of the tone for me for the presentation because that was a CG trailer.
yep,
And we saw a lot of CG trailers. Some
yep,
of them were in engine,
yep,
but it wasn't gameplay. So to me, if you're saying it's in engine, great, awesome. That means your game engine looks great. If it's not actual gameplay like I saw with Halo Infinite,
yep,
it don't matter to me.
yep,
That does not move me to be compelled. Plus, as you're going to get into the other games that we saw, most of them were games that were already announced or that we already knew about.
yep.
So hence my staying at the same level.
There,
It
there's
didn't
not
go
there's
up
nothing wrong
because
with
there wasn't anything that I did not expect, maybe except for the last game that they announced, but we'll get
yeah.
into that later.
There's nothing
Um,
wrong with going into more with the games that you already announced. It's just that
oh, that's
it's
fine.
it's just
Show more
so
stuff and show
yeah.
gameplay.
Yeah, but like what we got now was so bare and so minimum. Like for example, Forza Motorsport, it almost felt like they were forced to show Forza, whereas they might have just said, "Hey, we're working on a new Forza Motorsport. We're not ready to show it just yet, but know that we're working on it. It's going to be 4K and it's going to be 60 FPS. And when we are ready to show it, we will blow you away." Give me that because that way you kind of build anticipation and you build up a little bit of hype instead of giving me this. Or like with Everwild, the game being done by Rare, it was announced I think last year during E3.
It was?
It wasn't a game they announced earlier. It was not. I don't think because I think
Hang on, let me
they did it
check the
last
list
year.
real quick. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
Yeah, looking at the description in on IGN's
during
article.
XO19, so last year.
Yeah, it says Rare offered a quick look at how Everwild is doing.
Yeah,
I did not know that this game existed, so for
yeah,
me, this was new.
yeah. I mean, I
But
like the
if that's not the
style.
case and it was already something that was announced,
Yep,
yeah, the style, like I said, with this game and a bunch of other games that we're going to be talking about, the colors popped,
and it's really
and I
nice.
like that.
It's
I like
really
it.
nice. Yeah,
I like it. It looks different than anything that Rare has done up until this point, even including stuff that they did back in the Nintendo era.
yep.
So I'm really curious about this game.
And this game really shows that part where I mentioned that games will have more detail. The art style just shows so much detail that it's just I don't want this game to be photorealistic. I love the way this game looks, and the more detail they add to it, the better it will be.
Ah, it works. It works. It works for the way it is.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, I mean, if you look at something else that they also announced is that they're enhancing Ori and the Will of the Wisps
Yep.
for Xbox Series X, and this is the first game that's gonna be 4K 120 frames per second, which I think that's the only game that they announced that will do that.
I
So
think
far,
so.
so
Yeah.
far,
Yeah.
everything else that they showed was running at 60 frames, and they said that it's gonna run 60 frames 4K. But
Yep.
Ori and the Will of the Wisps, if you have an Xbox Series X, look forward to that being 120 frames. Which I'm really curious because I have never seen anything running at 100. No, that's a lie. That's an absolute lie. I've seen interfaces running at 120 frames per second on iPads, iPad Pros, but that's it.
Yeah, but that's because there are games on iOS that support 120 hertz, but it's like really, really small.
Yeah, because why would you put in the effort to make it 120 frames unless you're playing it specifically on an iPad Pro?
Yep.
There's nothing else on iOS that's there's no iOS devices that have screens that run at 120 frames.
Yep.
But I am curious to see games that run at that frame rate because 60 frames sometimes, depending on the game, can really melt my brain in a good way, of course, not in a weird way, but as in, wow, the smoothness really works for this case. But sometimes I also see games that I feel don't need to be at 60 frames that are. One of those games was also in the showcase was Tell Me Why from the developers of
Life is strange.
Life is Strange. Thank you.
Yep.
I saw that trailer. The game looks gorgeous, but the animations felt a bit jerky.
Mm.
As in it almost felt that the animations were made for 30 frames, but instead are moving at twice the speed. So some movements were a bit more sudden.
Yeah. I
But maybe
mean,
it's me. Maybe it's me. I
I mean,
just.
like generally, the reason they pick for 30 besides technical limitations is for a more cinematic look.
Mhm.
I mean, the other day I read that Spider-Man or Miles Morales, the game, will have an optional 4K 60 instead of 4K 30, and
Yeah,
that's
you're
I
right. I
think
did see that.
purely because of cinematic reasons. Because I can't imagine if you're swinging through the city, you would want to do that at 60 because just you get that feeling of speed. Um, but to be honest, when I played Spider-Man on my PS4 Pro, I can't remember if that was 60. I think it was 30, but it still felt fine. It didn't feel weird or strange or
Oh, it
slow.
felt smooth.
Yeah, so I'm happy that they offer me this as an option because I love it when they have a specific vision for it and they're like, this is our vision and we're giving you extra options if you want. The same with other games. With, for example, on the PS4 Pro, you can choose for higher resolution or you can choose for more frame rate with different games, which is a nice option because that way they kind of don't mess up their vision. But with Xbox, their message has constantly been 4K 60, and I think like yeah, for some games like Halo, that's fine, but for some games, it's better to
Not
have it as an. It's
necessary.
not necessary. I mean,
Yeah.
use that horsepower for something else.
Yeah. Um I'm just gonna skip over the overworld, the Outer Worlds thing because that's just DLC. But Obsidian had three things.
Yep.
They had the DLC for Outer Worlds called Perion Gorgon. They showed more gameplay footage of Grounded, which looks interesting because it looks like nothing they've ever done before.
And it's going into early access in 5 days.
Oh, cool! I did not know that.
Yeah, it's coming
Um,
out on. Uh,
July 28th.
yeah, it's going to
Yeah, that's the
Xbox early
earliest.
access and Steam early access.
Oh, wow, really?
Yep.
Cool, neat. And their new game that they're working on called Avowed, but honestly, it looked very generic.
I really got a Skyrim feeling from it.
Yeah, it felt very might and magic wizards and warriors kind of
Yeah,
stuff.
well, like there's this part in that you dive into a cave, and your character grabs a sword, and I literally felt like, okay, I'm looking at Skyrim right now, or an Elder Scrolls game, because he grabbed his sword and then he did some magic stuff with his other hand, and like, wow, are we gonna get this game before Elder Scrolls? Wow, yeah. But it's
uh,
not strange because the guys at Obsidian have done Fallout New Vegas. So I mean,
yeah, they've worked on Fallout games. They've never worked on Elder Scrolls games,
no, but like
but they
they've
have
worked with the
worked.
developer, so they kind of know that kind of game. I mean, Outer Worlds is basically a Fallout kind of game.
Plus, they did work on KOTOR 2.
Yep,
Um, Let me see. I'm gonna skip over As Dusk Falls because that was a really weird trailer.
yep.
Because I don't know if that was the actual aesthetic of the game or if it's just
I think that's the
an
way the game is
aesthetic
played.
choice of the trailer.
No, I
If it
think
is,
that's
it's
the
really
way the
cool
game's
because
played.
I've never seen a game that looks like that.
Yeah,
So if they do that, more power to them. But if it isn't, and this is just placeholder arts for 3D models, then okay, that's kind of weird.
yep,
It is by a new studio called Interior Night, headed by a former game designer at Quantic Dream.
yep.
So there's that. Um, make of that what you will.
Well, there'll be
um,
probably a big focus on story.
yeah. They talked a little about Cinema Saga Hellblade 2, but they didn't show anything new. They are going to share more stuff on their official YouTube channel for Ninja Theory.
Yeah,
They're actually going to show stuff that they did for the game. For example, going to Iceland to scout locations because that's where the game's going to be set, I think. I
yeah.
thought they said
They said
Norway,
that. Yeah,
but
it said in Iceland. Iceland.
yeah,
Uh,
which is awesome, by the
they're
way, because
building the game
Iceland.
in Unreal Engine 5.
That is the thing that really threw me off.
Yeah,
Thank you for bringing that up. That completely threw me off because am I crazy or did Tim Sweeney not say that that Unreal Engine 5 would not be available for developers until summer of next year?
I think he said that. So either the game is coming out like in 2 years, or
Or they're working with an early version of,
Unreal Engine 5.
which begs the question how many developers have access to that? Or it could be that they're building it right now in Unreal Engine 4 in anticipation to moving it to Unreal Engine 5. But then
Yeah.
why put in the effort?
I think they already said that is kind of like forward compatible Unreal, because now basically there's Unreal Engine 4.5, which is optimized for next gen consoles.
Yeah.
So they build it in that, and it is forward compatible with Unreal Engine 5,
So
so
I
that
don't
takes away
I
the.
know that, but that's not the thing. That's not the point I'm making. I'm making the point that I'm making is that once you move to Unreal Engine 5, a whole avenue of options is available to you,
Mhm.
which means you have to put in more. I don't know if it means that they have to put in more or less effort because they already put in all the work in the current version of Unreal Engine 4, which allows them to upgrade easily to 5. And maybe it's just a matter of, I don't know, threading some blah blah blah, threading some nodes here and there in the engine to make things work.
Yeah,
Maybe I don't know. I haven't worked in Unreal Engine in oh my goodness, close to 9 years. So I'm pretty sure a lot of it has changed over the 9 years since the last time I actually touched that engine.
the last time I looked at it was Unreal Engine 3, when it around the time they introduced support for mobile and for Flash. I mean, that was a
Mm.
big deal at the time.
It was never looked at that as never looked at those
Funny side
ports.
note, like I had a long time ago, I had a small development studio with two friends of mine, and we would make virtual tours in Unreal Engine for companies and schools and stuff like that. And I think actually that we were the first and maybe the only studio in the Netherlands that had Flash support for Unreal Engine. I
And
uh,
now
we had this project that we were possibly going to do, and I reached out to Epic and I said like, hey, we're using the UDK license, and we want to use Flash for building web version. And they said, yeah, like it's still in early development, so we can't like give it to you, or it's really difficult. We don't know when it's coming to UDK. And then I said like, okay, but it's if we secure this project, it will be we'll be able to give you the revenue bonus because you had like a you could use on UDK till X amount, and everything above that would be revenue that also has to be split with Epic. And I said
Mhm.
like, hey, this and this and this, and I tossed around some numbers and blah 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 blah, and then I didn't hear anything for 2 weeks, and then suddenly one day I open my email and I see NDAs and all sorts of stuff I have to agree on. I'm like, what is this? And I looked at it like, hey, yeah, we want to help you get the Flash for Unreal. Here's the source code for Unreal. Blah blah blah. Here's this. Here's that. Blah blah blah. We need you to sign this NDA and blah 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 blah. And we're like, wow, okay, so we got Flash support, we got Unreal Engine, we got source code, we got like the whole shebang. I was completely blown away that we managed to pull it off.
Yeah,
Bummer was that
and
when
now Flash is gonna be extinct
yeah,
by the end of the year.
we never actually got to use it because we never got the project. But
Ah, that's unfortunate.
yeah, well, it did give us some insights into how Unreal really works.
Yeah.
Ah,
Let me see. Psychonauts 2 had a new trailer, which again looked very good. Jack Black is working with Double Fine once again
yep.
as one of the characters. He actually sings songs in this one as well. Song sounded really cool. Um, Destiny, we already talked about Destiny 2. Stalker 2.
Nobody saw that one coming.
I did not see that coming for two reasons. One, I thought the franchise was dead, and two, I thought that Stalker was run into the ground and then
Uh,
died. But
this
this is the second game?
yeah,
That
so
can't be right,
the
right?
studio exists, but what happened is that I watched a documentary on this a while back. Um, After Stalker One came out, because Stalker had a pretty troubled development, they also did
Mm.
one or two expansions, and then they started working on Stalker Two.
Ah, okay.
And
Expansions.
a large part of Stalker Two, of the team separated from the studio because it was a lot of stuff happening in that studio, and then I think that's the studio that came out with Metro eventually. So the guys that came out of GSC Game World, it's called, I believe, formed their own
Ah, okay.
studio, and they
Yeah.
come up with Metro. Metro is like an amazing game, and then there were rumors that Stalker Two was in development by GSC Game World again. Uh, because it had gone bankrupt and stuff like that. So it's like a whole thing around it. So I was
Yeah.
surprised that it got announced. When I saw the Ferris wheel, I was like, okay, this is Stalker 2. Because there were
Yeah.
rumblings that Stalker 2 was in development.
Really?
Yep,
Okay. I don't follow those fines, so I didn't hear anything. So I was actually genuinely surprised.
I can imagine.
Um, Warhammer 4K is getting a new game.
Yeah,
They showed a trailer. Apparently, it's a four-player co-op game set in the hive world of Therion. If you're familiar with the Warhammer 4K lore, honestly it looked generic as all get out. So
it's a bummer they don't do more with Warhammer because THQ when THQ existed,
it's not a bad license. It's just I don't know. The last couple of games have not looked that interesting to me.
I think the problem is that it's done by a lot of small, kind of unknown studios. Whereas when THQ still existed, they did Warhammer 40k Space Marine, I believe, together with Relic, and I
Hmm.
think it was one of the first. I was surprised that Relic did it because Relic generally does RTS games, but Relic did it. It was a third-person action game, and the main character was voiced by John Strong, who we all know from all sorts of Guy Ritchie movies and TV shows. And I love that game. I played it on PlayStation, I think, and I finished it on PlayStation. I loved it, and eventually I also bought it on PC on Steam. I still have it. I mean, I really like that game. I mean, I'm not known with the Warhammer 40k universe that much. I played the strategy games made by Relic, which were really nice, but this was really a nice change of pace. So I was bummed that they didn't do more with it.
Yeah. Well, now they're gonna do more of it. It just seems like this very basic, generic kind of four-player co-op shooter.
Yeah, it feels
Um,
like a horde mode.
yeah. The other thing that I didn't expect was Tetris Effect coming to Xbox. Tetris Effect
Exclusively,
Connected exclusive. Well,
console exclusive.
console launch exclusive.
Yep,
It said. So after a while, it's gonna appear on the other systems as well. But Tetris Effect, because this is very specific, because Tetris Effect was a VR game, as
I didn't know
in it
that.
was made for VR, and it's only on PlayStation 4, PSVR, um, and on PC in VR. I think Oculus Rift.
I don't know.
So the fact that they're making a new version that focuses on multiplayer and co-op is a big deal. Plus a lot of music in it. And the thing that threw me off is because I saw the creator of Tetris at the beginning of that trailer. So I was, wait, I know that Russian looking old dude. That is Alexei Pajitnov, the creator of Tetris. Oh, wait, is this a new Tetris game? And then the music started, and I was like, oh, wait, this is not a new Tetris game. This is Tetris Effect, but it's still a new game. So that's coming out holiday 2020, which is cool. Coming to Xbox in general. Uh, Gunk or the Gunk coming from Image and Form, which is the SteamWorld creators. This is the first time they've done something that is not SteamWorld related at all, because the first game was SteamWorld Tower Defense
Okay.
on DSi on the DSiWare, and then they made SteamWorld Dig and SteamWorld Dig 2 and other SteamWorld games. So this is the first time that they're doing something else. It looks pretty cool. Uh, Kind of reminds me of it's like a combination between Bionic Commando and Luigi's Mansion, but
Okay.
no ghosts. You're just sucking up gunk. Hence
Uh,
the name, the gunk.
with this game, I kind of got uh, what was the game called? Sony announced that looked like a Pixar animation movie. Uh,
Wait, the one with the graffiti?
no, 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 no. The one with the girl wandering in the
Oh,
forest.
Kenna?
Kenna, yeah. With this game, I kind of got Kenna vibes. Like, yeah, this looks like an animation movie. You know, the art style's really nice and detailed.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
It does have a bit of Kenna vibes to it, which is cool.
yeah.
Um, they showed a new trailer for the Medium,
I really have
which
no interest in that game.
yeah, neither do I. But the one cool thing that they showed off is that it's rendering two worlds simultaneously,
Yep.
which is really cool. And they're both at the same level of detail. And I'm interested in it a bit more than I was before, mostly because the gameplay, what that does to the gameplay. But aesthetics wise, I'm not a horror kind of guy. So yeah, I'll only play it mostly for the gameplay stuff, if I can. They showed a new trailer for Fantasy Star Online 2, new Genesis, looked straight up Fantasy Star. Crossfire X. I think they announced this a while ago.
Yeah, that's a. I believe it's a free to play multiplayer game in Asian markets. It's really popular there. And last year during E3, they announced it was coming to Xbox. I think exclusively to Xbox for now. And
Yeah,
now,
because it's a PC franchise.
yeah, and now it's getting a single player campaign, which is developed by Remedy, which we know from Alan Wake and Control.
hmm
The trailer looked really nice. The game looks pretty, but it felt a bit generic.
Yeah, it did. The single player, as you said, is being done by Remedy. The multiplayer is still free to play when it comes out, but apparently they're both coming out separately, or that wasn't very clear on
Yeah,
with
and
that.
the multiplayer is available in Game Pass, but the single player is not available in Game Pass.
Yeah. Wait. Oh,
They
okay.
announced it there. Yeah, it was in the fine print.
Yeah. And the last game that we already hinted at a little earlier, Fable.
Yep.
by Playground Games,
Yep.
whose previous experiences was the Horizon franchise, the Forza Horizon, that is, franchise, and only the the Forza Horizon franchise. Why are these people making Fable?
I don't know. Sometimes it's good to have a fresh look on things, I guess.
Okay, so I'm assuming that the studio behind Horizon, dang it, I keep calling it Horizon,
Fable.
Forza Horizon,
Yeah.
are avid racing fanboys.
Yeah.
So why give this project to them? That's like giving a art student a project on making a farm.
It's like asking 343 to make a race game.
Yeah, exactly. I don't expect industries to make a race game.
Maybe they
That's what
could.
you have Turn 10 for and Playground Games, thought,
I think
but I
in
guess
in,
not.
in in this case, it's a matter of Playground. I believe is based out of the UK, and Lionhead is also based out of the UK.
It was based out of the
Or
UK,
was
didn't
based out of the UK.
anymore.
So probably maybe they either have absorbed people or they got people from that studio.
You read my mind. You read my mind. That's literally the exact same thing that I was thinking
Yeah.
of. That they might have absorbed people from Lionhead
Yep.
Studios, back when they got disbanded.
Yep.
Um, I hope that's the case because
But honestly, it could. I don't. It doesn't have to be a bad thing. I mean, it could be a good thing. It's just
it doesn't have to be a
unconventional.
bad thing. Exactly, it's unconventional and they are proven as a racing studio. They're not proven as anything else at this point.
Yep.
So I hope for them that they're able to prove themselves at this. But considering that the CG trailer was so CG that it CG the CG,
But like,
we're not seeing this game for at least 2 to 3 years.
yeah. I mean,
Mark my words.
look at it this way. Guerrilla was only known for Killzone, and they
True.
came out with Horizon Zero Dawn, which is a completely different game,
Yeah,
and
they
that game
did.
was good.
Yeah. I was also skeptical when I the thing is, I was skeptical because when I heard that they were working on something else outside of Killzone,
Hmm.
I heard it during a keynote speech that Herman Hulst had back at GDC Europe, back when that was still a thing.
Hmm.
I think in 2009, I want to say.
Mm,
But that
did he
but
actually talk about Horizon Zero Dawn, or said we're doing
no,
something else?
they were saying they were working on something else completely entirely different. Nothing like Killzone at all,
Okay.
which means that either Horizon was still in the planning stages
Yeah.
or in pre-production.
Yeah, because they also did Killzone Liberation for the PSP, which was that
Exactly.
isometric shooter. Which okay, it's a shooter, but it like had a completely different approach to it,
Feel.
and that was
Yeah.
also it was one of the best games on PSP.
Well, the competition wasn't that big.
Still,
But yeah, I mean,
yeah,
wow, I guess we covered all the games that were announced. Huh.
we skipped a few, but that's okay.
Yeah, I mean, those were things that were already announced and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Plus, if you want to watch them, IGN has a very handy article up on their website where they list all the games in order of where they were shown, or you just go to Xbox's YouTube channel and watch the whole thing there. They also have the trailers up, but I don't know if it's in 4K. I'm assuming that the trailers on YouTube that are outside of the presentation itself are 4K.
I can
Um,
confirm that it's 4K 60 at least for Halo.
cool. Yeah, well, okay, then I'm assuming that at least the others are as well. So if you want to see them in 4K, because the presentation was in 1080p, 60 frames, if you want to see it in 4K and you have a monitor that can handle 4K, I say do it. Um, it's probably gonna look popping
You know
for
what's
most
funny?
games.
I'm looking at the Halo Infinite official gameplay reveal trailer, which is like a minute,
Hmm.
and it's like the quality is so different. I mean, there's this part in which the pilot that liberates you, that finds you in space and helps you and gets you to the planet. There's this part that he's overlooking over a valley, and that part is so detailed. When I just click on pause, I'm looking at what I'm seeing on the screen, and it's so freaking detailed. But then it goes to a close up of the bad guy, the gray dude, the gray
Yeah,
Covenant guy, and that's so ugly. I'm like, is this Xbox Series X? This looks like Xbox One.
yeah. Also, not a Covenant guy. He's from the Banished.
Oh yeah,
The Banished and the Covenant are working together.
yeah. I mean, like it just looks so. This is not Xbox Series X. I mean, yeah. And when we saw the trailer, I was like, this does not add that much. I really don't care about what this the guy is
Yeah, that's
telling me.
because we were getting a 1080p image in the showcase.
Yeah.
They basically did the same thing that Sony did, except Sony did not do it at 60 frames per second,
Mm.
which, by the way, was really weird.
That
By the
Sony
way,
didn't do it at 60.
yeah, because Sony did their presentation, but it was running at 30 frames per second.
Maybe they wanted to save bandwidth.
And then when they released the trailers, they were 4K 60.
Oh,
Yeah, so that was weird. Um, yeah, I already said how I felt about this. I went in with, well, not necessarily zero expectations, but middling expectations. And honestly, I came out the same way. I don't have anything to add to it other than vibrant games look really vibrant, and I haven't even seen the 4K trailers for these games, so I'm probably gonna get blown away when I do. I do not have a 4K screen to watch these things on, so I could probably only watch it on 2K on my laptop. But yeah, it looks cool. Most games we already knew, or if so, we got updates on them, which is also good. But they said gameplay reveals, and we didn't see a lot of gameplay. We
nope.
saw a lot of CG trailers. We saw a lot of in-engine games, which I don't count as in-game. Um, and I think maybe not even a handful of games that were gameplay. The one that they were touting the most, Halo, was also the one that they showed the most of.
Yeah, I think when I was watching it, I tried to watch it with an open mind, just not to kind of be biased. But at the end, I thought like, okay, looking at everything I just saw, would
Mm.
if I didn't have a PC for Game Pass, would this tempt me to buy an Xbox Series X? And I was like, no, because when I watched the PlayStation reveal, there were multiple games in there, and not just the Sony games, but there were multiple games in there. Like, I would definitely want to play this game on a PS5. I'm still honest. There is still no definitive game that I say when I say like, okay, this is the game I really want to play on day one when the PS5 comes out. Because I'm going to be honest, I'll probably play Watch Dogs Legion and Assassin's Creed Valhalla on the PS5 instead of the 4. But
Mhm.
that's more like I get the option, and I'll probably want to play Spider-Man Miles Morales.
Yeah.
But I really wanted Horizon Forbidden West to be there. That would have been one of those games that you're like, yes, this is why you buy a PS5 on launch day. And I mean, Sony doesn't have that. Maybe they'll show us something. But what Microsoft showed us was like, no, I'm good. I really don't want to buy an Xbox Series X. I mean, I like Halo, but not that much.
But they made you a believer in Game Pass, even more so, right?
Yeah, definitely. That like 10 out
Which
of
is,
10.
I think that was partially what they were aiming for. Not just Xbox Series X, but they, especially considering that every trailer that they showed had the Game Pass logo in the lower left corner of it.
Yeah.
Which, to me, they said it at the beginning and they said it at the ending. The fact that they brought it up for Destiny 2, that you'll be able to play it through xCloud on your mobile phone, proves that this was more about Game Pass than people probably thought it was gonna be. Of
Yep.
course, it was gonna be about Xbox Series X because they want to show off the new tech. They want to show off the 4K 60 frames per second games, which they, for some, did. Um, so yeah, for me, this was way more of a pitch for Game Pass than it was for Game Pass and the games that they're gonna be supporting on Game Pass than it was for Xbox Series X. which brings us back to what Phil Spencer was saying about not really having games that are specifically made for the Series X, just enhanced in the first year of this console's life cycle, which makes more sense if you're gonna buy into Game Pass.
I think this showed a clear strategy from Microsoft going into the next gen console era, because if you look at it from Microsoft's point of view, they're pretty clear in it. We want as much people to play our games, and we don't care how they play it. If they do it on Xbox, if they do it on PC, if they do it through xCloud, we don't care, because we'll still make money on it, because we give them all these diverse options, and you can pick whatever you want. Whereas with Sony, it's a traditional strategy in which they say, we want you to buy the newest box. We will make sure that there is a valid reason to buy the box, because we will make sure that there are games that justify you buying the box, and that's it. And I mean, like, unless they pull a 180 and they do something special with PlayStation Now and Plus, which they have said earlier this year that we haven't heard the last of those services, that there is coming a big revamp, but yeah, word is still out on what that will be. If they don't adjust their strategy for that, I think they'll probably still be able to pull it off, because Sony has the best lineup of games. But I think, like, in the long run, Microsoft will make more money out of this. And
Mm.
that's the only benefit that Sony has. They just have a really, really good stable of game developers under their house and IPs. And that's also because their approach. But if you look at it, like, who's gonna make the most money out of this, I think that's gonna be Microsoft.
I'm gonna make a prediction here about the Series X, and this is just a prediction. I'm not saying that this is fact, so don't take this as fact. When they announced the pre-orders, when they announced the pricing, I would not be surprised if they're gonna announce a bundle for Series X that is just the game system and a year of Game Pass Ultimate.
I think that's plausible. Yeah.
Just those two with a controller and maybe even a clip that you can clip onto your cell phone so that you can play with your Xbox
Yeah.
Series X controller or Xbox One controller.
Maybe they'll not do it in the beginning, but I wouldn't be surprised if a
Oh, I think
bundle
they'll
like
do it
that.
in the beginning. I think they'll do it in the beginning because that is their selling point. Again, I
Yeah,
feel that Game Pass is their selling point. They just want you to play their games on their systems or on in their way.
I think it's plausible, and they might have a bigger SSD in that, like a 2 terabyte SSD or 1.5 terabyte SSD for all those games. I think it's plausible, man.
Yeah,
It would be a good move.
definitely.
Yeah,
Do you have anything else to add? Because I think I got everything out of my system.
I think so too. I'm just thinking if there is any last thing, but I mean, they're gonna do more of these events in the coming months. They said.
Mm.
Um, There is a rumor floating around that Sony will do something soon to reveal pricing and a release date. I think the earliest Sony will do that is September, because fortunately, this week, it was announced that Sony is upping production on the PS5. They initially expected to sell between 5 to 6 million units, and now they're upping production because they expect to sell 9 to 10 million units. So I
Mhm.
think the availability is better. They also there's also hints that they will limit pre-orders to one per household, which is really nice. Um, but
Suck
yeah,
it, scalpers.
yeah, there are rumors floating around that Microsoft will do an event in August all around that Xbox Series S. Um, we don't know, but
The Lockhart.
yeah, I mean, like, it's going to be really interesting because there aren't any game events this year. Because normally you'd say, "Oh well, we just had E3. We're looking for Tokyo Game Show right now, or we're looking at Gamescom right now." But we have this whole summer
We
game
have
fest.
Gamescom coming in August, the
But
digital
yeah,
version
the
of
digital.
Gamescom.
Yeah, we don't know if Sony or another studio is going to.
Be
Um,
working with them. I think they are.
okay.
I think I think they might, or Gamescom Digital might focus on independent developers,
Yeah.
which Summer of Games has mostly been doing that with their day of the devs. Um, what I feel is that because we also recently heard that Xbox, or yeah, the Xbox division stopped producing series, or not Series X, but what, Xbox One X,
which is a
and
strange
the
move.
sad.
I did not expect them to do that.
I did not expect it either, which honestly makes me feel that the Series X is way closer than we thought.
Yeah, because
Especially since there were rumors floating around that Microsoft, before the pandemic hit, Microsoft had a roadmap where the Series X was going to come out in August.
you think?
I don't think so. Again, it was a rumor, so take that with the biggest grain of salt.
Yeah,
It's
because
fine,
Halo is like at the end it said
but
holiday 2020.
I don't think it's implausible if this is the strategy that they're implying right now. If they're stopping production of the Xbox One X,
Hmm.
really, your most powerful system out there currently, you're stopping the production of that so that you can focus on the Series X, and you got rid of the SAD, which means something else is coming in the place of the SAD.
Yeah,
I'm so glad
I'm
because that
just
way I don't
surprised
have to
that
say Xbox SAD anymore.
I'm just surprised that they did this because I would have expected them to say, because I've said this before, I would have expected them to say like, okay, we're gonna make the series the One X is gonna be our entry level 4K console. We're gonna do that for 299. We're gonna put it in stores for 299 or 249. And then if you want entry level 4K, that is your option. But if you want the best, the highest tier of 4K, then there's the Series X. I mean, from a business point of view, I think that would have been the way they were going to approach
We're
it.
still gonna get that because they already set that up before this event went live, that this is only gonna be games.
Yeah,
And they did. They didn't pull a bait and switch. They didn't do what Sony did where they said it's gonna focus on games to say like one more thing. They did say one more thing and then it turned out to be Fable.
yep,
But yeah.
yeah. We'll just have to wait and see. I think the coming months will be really important.
I think the
Um,
coming weeks are gonna be very important.
yeah, I think
I
well,
think this is gonna move way quicker than most people think it's gonna move.
yeah. If August stays quiet, I think September because
I don't think August is gonna stay quiet.
I don't know because
Not especially because again at the end of the month of August we're getting Gamescom.
mhm,
So I don't think August is gonna be particularly quiet.
okay.
Maybe in the early weeks, but like especially ramping up to Gamescom, I think we're gonna see more stuff.
I don't know if I said it in the PlayStation episode or maybe I just said it offline, but I think that's my prediction is that Sony is going to announce a release date and a price in September.
Mm. Oh,
And I don't know if they're going to do a state of play around it or an event or that they're just going to do like a blog and a press release that what they did with the DualSense. But I think, um,
I think
or
they're gonna do a state of play for it.
yeah, or they keep going on the momentum they have because now the Microsoft stuff is kind of like meh. Next week or within a couple of weeks, they just say like, "Bam, here's the PlayStation pre-order, and that's the price, and that's it, then it's when it's coming out." And
I
then
didn't check the internet's reaction to this presentation, by the way, so I can't put that in there. Maybe I'll put it in the regular episode, but um, yeah, I haven't checked out the Twitterverse or any kind of social media to see how people are feeling about it.
I don't know as well, but we'll just. I think tomorrow the YouTubers will start to. You'll
Oh,
see
I'm
a lot
pretty
of
sure
YouTube.
tonight,
Yeah,
as we're recording this tonight, we're gonna see the first stuff. So,
yeah. So we're just gonna have to wait and see.
hmm
Nice.
cool. Well, I guess that's it for our bonus round episode of Game Rivals. As always, thank you for listening. You can always catch us on Anchor, which is our main home. You can also catch us on any other podcasting service, be it Apple Podcast, Google Play Podcast, Spotify, Stitcher, Overcast, Pocket Cast, or wherever you listen to podcasts. You can find us there. You can find us on Twitter, which is at game underscore rivals underscore. I'm at Maximilian on Twitter. You can also find us on Instagram, which is at Game Rivals, one word. You can also find us on YouTube. Link is in the description for that. You can also send us a voice message, which is in the link in the description of this episode. You don't need to make an Anchor account for that. You can just click on the link and send us a voice message. We might even feature you as a game rival. You can also send us feedback to our feedback email, which is gamerivalsfeedback@gmail.com. Think that's it, right?
My brain is so overwhelmed and overloaded by whatever you just said, so I think you covered it.
Yeah. So again, thank you guys for listening. We will be back next week with a regular episode, and also look forward to our spoiler cast of The Last of Us Part 2. I, as always, has been Maximilian X.
You has always has been Maximilian X.
Yeah, someone brought up lolcats, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, lolcats has been so far." So it's been hanging in the back of my mind, and
Uh,
that I think that just came out that way.
well, then I guess I has always has been Sean Templar, and we'll catch you on the next one.
Later.